Okay,
Hello.
we are back.
The fabled episode 2. We're talking about like IDW. They like this is actually like peak Transformers. And that's the thing. Like I never thought I would really be this invested in Transformers in my entire life. I thought Transformers was cool, but heck, this is freaking awesome. Look at this image. Look at this. Like there's so many different characters that you could talk about here. Like literally it follows how Megatron and all of these Decepticons have come to Earth and have begun to start to try and take
They're tr-
resources from the Earth so they can have this like super serum to become ultra powerful.
yes,
Like,
well, so their initial goal, like we talked about in the last episode, is they're basically trying to colonize other planets because Cybertron's no longer inhabitable. So they're trying to create
yeah,
Cybertronian colony worlds. But what's soon discovered is that, as was revealed in Spotlight Shockwave, the first issue you read, um, this is why I talked about like we have to get a little bit more than just the overall thing. Is in addition to Cybertron being rendered uninhabitable, there was also a small issue of a transformer named Thunderwing. Thunderwing was a Cybertronian scientist who
Apocalypse.
he's in Apocalypse now, but he was initially a Decepticon scientist who, after crunching the numbers, realized that Cybertron was on the way to being uninhabitable. He saw that they were running out of energon; they weren't going to be able to live there. They didn't have the problem of the radiation that was killing them yet. They were just running out of resources. Basically, like the idea is like they had spent so much of their resources on the war that they didn't have food or water anymore. So like basically their the transformer equivalent of water sources was gone, so they were just going to die. And so he was trying to invent a technology that would allow them to survive without energon, and he created what was known as pretender technology. And pretender technology is basically just a giant suit of armor, that would allow you to survive in like uninhabitable conditions. I don't know why I looked up bludgeon instead of thunderwing. Hold on. And
Bludgeon
so,
appears in the story.
yeah. Uh, and so pretenders are an idea that goes all the way back to the 80s. They're transformers that have superpowered suits that they go inside of. Like, this is Thunderwing in the original comic. That's his pretender shell right there, and he can go inside it. And pretender shells give you superpowers. And so the IDW version of this is like almost an absolute Batman version of it, where it's like it's the most extreme version. Thunderwing
He literally
tested,
looks like a character from the movie, the TV show Gargoyles.
yeah, Thunderwing uh, tested his pretender technology on himself, put himself inside a pretender suit, and it drove him insane. And the problem is, he's insane because he's stuck inside the suit, and the suit is invulnerable. It's impenetrable. It cannot be damaged, and so he's just stuck in there forever. And so Thunderwing,
And he can't pull
what?
himself apart.
Yeah, he can't get out of it, and so he's just stuck in a perpetual. He's basically just stuck in perpetual hell, and so he went on a Hulk-like rampage on Cybertron, almost decimated the almost single-handedly wiped out their race and rendered Cybertron uninhabitable. He's the reason for the radiation, and so that's part of the reason they had to they had to evacuate. Shockwave.
Because he was literally destroying the planet.
Yes. And so eventually Megatron and Optimus had to call a temporary truce between Autobots and Decepticons, and their combined
To
forces managed
stop
to,
Thunderwave.
yeah, their their combined forces managed to put him in a coma, which he comes out of during this storyline. That's what the Stormbringer storyline is about. But while all of this is going on, Shockwave, who is a different flavor of mad scientist, also found out that Cybertron was in danger of being destroyed by lack of resources, and so he invented something called the Regenesis program, and he started going to different planets and seeding them with seeds that were meant to be different forms of like unstable energon to see if he could create new forms of energon on other planets to keep the Cybertronian race
You
alive.
know, the synthetic stuff that's supposed to make you feel all good on the insides.
Yes. One of the planets that he visited to test out his ores, which he refers to them
Was
as,
Earth.
was prehistoric Earth, and he put there a thing called Ore 13, And during the Spotlight Shockwave comic, he's tracked there by the Dinobots, who uh, gang up to fight him. And the fight ends with Grimlock after they fail to defeat Shockwave. Grimlock, the leader of the Dinobots, calls in an orbital strike, which buries all of them inside of a lava pit and leaves them stuck there until modern day Earth 2006, where they're dug up by a team of archaeologists, which sets up for their return later in the storyline. But
Wait. Question, real quick.
yes,
Is that what the Dinobots were referring to in Maximum Dinobots?
what were they referring to? What are you talking about specifically?
You remember how they were like, "You betrayed us" or whatever, da 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 da.
Yes, in Maximum Dinobots, the Dinobots had put two and two together and realized that Grimlock, without telling them, put set up a suicide. Basically, Grimlock set up a suicide pact with all of them without telling them, and they're upset about
Okay.
that.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand there for a second. I was like, oh wait, so the whole plot of the Maximum Dinobots thing is because of what happened here in Spotlight Shockwave.
Yes, that is why the band broke up in Maximum Dinobots because they were upset that Grimlock entered into a he made a murder.
But here's the thing. They break up for a little bit of time and then my boys show up.
Yes,
The
the
monster
monster
bots.
bots show up, and you can't keep the Dinobots apart. They are the I think the perfect way to describe the Dinobots is right here. Transformers Wiki also has always has the best captions.
The boy band. And
But yeah,
prepare for a world of pain.
yeah, I love the Dinobots about as much as you love the monster bots, which we'll get to the monster bots later. We can go into detail what they are, but I just love the
We don't
Dinobots.
have to, but
I love the
I think we
Dinobots. I
just
think
need to hit the kind of spark notes through this part.
Yeah, I think they're awesome. This is my wreckers. Like you went on your tangent about how cool the wreckers are. The Dinobots, I love the wreckers. The Dinobots are my wreckers. I love these guys. I think they're awesome. I think Grimlock is one of the coolest characters Transformers has ever done. It's really hard to do him wrong. The only times
Look
people have
there. They got his name right. Slag.
Yes. For those who do not know, there's been a controversy with the Dinobot Slag. He transforms into a Triceratops. Fan favorite, bit of a fan favorite character. There's been a controversy with him. His name has been officially changed by Hasbro to Slug in all, basically in every Transformers thing past like the year 2015. They've officially changed his name to Slug, and the reason for that is
It's just because the word is deemed to be derogatory in British culture.
well, yes, in British culture, the term slag carries the same connotation as the word whore does in America. It is a very strong insult used against promiscuous women, and so Hasbro, uh, kind of difficult for them to sell a toy in the UK that's named whore, and so they have had to change his name to Slug. They've had to change his.
It didn't stop Barbie.
Hey, different.
Oh.
To each their own. If Barbie's able to get away with it,
I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be a good person, but my gosh. Sometimes they're just set up on the tee, and I'm just hitting dingers over the fence, man. Oh, I can't resist. Oh, shoot.
this
Oh, I
is
didn't
our
notice the things he's walking over at first.
yes. Grimlock
Whoa.
is talking about Kratos. Kratos again. Grimlock is like if you take Kratos from God of War and combine him with the Incredible Hulk.
Essentially the Doomslayer.
Yeah, he kind of is. He's kind of like the Doomslayer if you gave him Kratos' personality. Like, and look, the caption to this is just amazing. I love this
Keep Grimlock,
caption.
kill everything. This
This
is a
is
good
a good
caption.
day. And also, this is a quote from an actual Transformers comic.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's
Grimlock,
Grimlock. So, for those who don't understand why he speaks in such broken, like Neanderthal language,
well, the meta
would you
reason
mind
for it.
explaining that?
Yeah, I'll explain. The meta reason for it is because when the original 80s cartoon aired, they decided that it would be funny in the cartoon to portray the Dinobots as cavemen. So they talk like cavemen, like Grimlock. Grimlock's most famous catchphrase is, "Me, Grimlock." He talks like that, like, "Me, Grimlock, no like Decepticons." And that kind of became like their iconic speech pattern. Even though the original toy bios that were written for them say that they are explicitly not stupid, Grimlock has an intelligence of 7 out of 10. He's supposed to be an intelligent character, but like the idea of him being a dumb caveman was popularized by the cartoon. And so now what you have is lots of Transformer stuff, including IDW, will try to find a way to include his iconic speech patterns while also not making him a complete idiot. And so usually what they do is what IDW did is they say he has some form of either throat or brain damage in that he's smart, but he's been either his throat or his brain has been damaged in such a way that he can't talk right. So he
You
thinks
mean
at a
like
higher.
Bumblebee, right?
Yeah, they kind of bumblebee him a lot. Like, and also the Transformers Fall of Cybertron video game, which is my favorite version of the Dinobots. In that version, they are mad. They are experiments of Shockwave because their origin stories are always tied to Shockwave in some way. In Fall of Cybertron, he abducted the Dinobots and he experimented on them and basically combined them with dinosaurs because he had visited Earth and thought the dinosaurs were cool, and so he gave them dinosaur alt modes to see if combining Transformers with dinosaurs would make Transformers stronger. And the reason that Grimlock talks the way he does is because Shockwave explains that he had to reroute all of Grimlock's power from his brain to his muscles to make him strong enough to use his T-Rex form. So basically the idea is like Grimlock used to be smarter, but like literally, there's a line he has in the video game where he says it's hard for him to think because Shockwave rerouted all of his power away from his brain. So that's a balance they try to strike now. Is Grimlock is fairly intelligent, but he can't express it because like of some form of brain damage he has. And so
It's there's this thing that just kind of gets in the he's got this mental block. I think what it is murder. I can't remember what they call it these days. Yeah, murder. Murder's a good word for it. Or no wait, the other mental block is probably Hulk smash.
yeah, but that's what Grimlock is. Grimlock is again what I picture Maul being in Star Wars, like what he should be. Grimlock is just like a mind. He's not mindless. I shouldn't say mind. When he gets angry, he's mindless, but he's like a one-track mind, complete like what's the word I'm oh god, what's the word I'm looking for? Where like you like complete like
Blinding
blind,
rage.
yeah, complete like horse blinders on the side of his head. Like when like he will just smash his head into a problem until it breaks. And like
Blinding rage filled.
yeah, and he is pretty common pretty common element of Grimlock's characters that he hates Optimus Prime. He thinks Optimus Prime's a stupid hippie who doesn't have what it takes to be leader because he won't make the necessary sacrifices. Yeah,
Which is quite ironic. It's just like, wow, Optimus is just like he's not. He doesn't do the job well enough. He doesn't punch hard enough.
yeah, he doesn't punch hard enough and he doesn't kill enough people. Like Grimlock's the type would be like if Optimus would look at a thing and say, "We can't fight this battle right now because it would too many humans would be killed as collateral damage." And Grimlock's like,
At
ugh.
that current moment, Grimlock would be chewing on it.
Yeah, Grimlock would be fuming. Grimlock would be fuming at the idea that they're not going to battle because too many humans would die. Grimlock that would make Grimlock crash out and try to overthrow Optimus's leader.
Just like, wait. So you're telling me don't eat this? It will stop humanity's existence, but it will also stop the Decepticons. And Grimlock is sweating, just in anger from
Yeah,
having
he's
to hold himself back.
yeah, he's
Because he's
fuming
like, we
because
must stop the Decepticons.
yeah, like Grimlock's fuming because he's like because Grimlock's like you present him the opportunity to stop the Decepticons, but the trade-off is humans have to die. Grimlock's like, oh, that's such an easy trade. Are you kidding me? That's all.
He's like, that's it?
Yeah,
That's all I have to do?
Grimlock's like mashing the genie
Yeah.
button before you even finish.
You have a chance to stop. You have a chance to stop the Decepticons. All you have to do is push this button. Take. All you have to do is pay $10,000. Take my money now.
Yeah.
But I said take my money. And so it's essentially him just being a
Well,
loose
actually,
cannon.
in that case, if it's like you can stop the Decepticons now, all you need to do is pay me $10,000. Grimlock would just like the wizard who's offering this, like the wizard who's offering him this genie trade is like all you have to do is pay me $10,000. Grimlock would just take the genie and tear him in half.
Why offer me such a puny rate?
Well, no, it wouldn't be offering me such a puny rate. Grimlock would be like the genie would be like I can like pay me $10,000 and I will wipe out the Decepticons. Grimlock would pick him up and be like, "You have 3 seconds to wipe them out now, or I start pulling. I'm not gonna pay you. You're just gonna do it."
You have 3 seconds to end it now, or I'm gonna see how far you'll stretch, and then I'm gonna push you further.
Yeah,
But so we're pushing through this
and
whole
so
thing,
like
and so
and
we
so
have
Shockwave seeded or what was called Or-13, which is one of his experimental energon substitutes on Earth. And in modern day 2006, Or-13 has basically evolved into like a form of super energon, which is when a transformer takes Or-13, it makes them temporarily invulnerable. And Starscream, who is one of Megatron's top lieutenants,
you
the
mean the
leader.
Weasel?
Yes, he is the leader of the infiltration unit that Megatron is dispatched to Earth to colonize Earth, and he is known for being devious and for being a backstabber. When Starscream learns that Or-13 exists on Earth, he uh he starts to
His
get some
first thought was,
ideas.
let's backstab Megatron.
Yeah, his first thought was, "Oh goody, a way that I
Oh,
can be
goody!
leader."
Finally, I'm gonna be in charge.
Yes, and so the first that the basic I'll do one sentence summaries of each one. Infiltration introduces the Autobots and Decepticons that have been sent to Earth. Two teams, one led by Prowl, one led by Starscream, and it is about basically most of Infiltration is about Ratchet, my favorite character, the Autobot medic. Basically, he comes across some humans who have accidentally stolen Decepticon technology without realizing it, and most of this infiltration
He
arc
said,
is just about
"Oopsie whoopsie."
yeah, most of this arc is just Ratchet, and with some help from Bumblebee eventually, trying desperately to keep these humans alive as the Decepticons send everything they have to kill them. And so that's one of the things I love about Ratchet aside from his personality is it's just really easy to build a fun underdog story with him because he's a medic, he's not a fighter, and so watching Ratchet just like have to jerry rig all of his medical instruments into being
So there is actually rules with that in the American military. There's a famous phrase said by one of my favorite guys. It's "No one touches Doc,"
yeah.
and that's the rule. So like if and they call him the battlefield angel, the medic, because
Hmm.
they're the only one who has the government leeway to give you a Motrin. And if anything is remotely in the angle of where Doc is at, Geneva will have another convention
Yeah.
because of the amount of carnage that will ensue therein. Like engaging a prime example would be engaging the enemy with a rocket launcher instead of waiting for them to engage you per your command. Why? Because rocket launchers get lighter when you're out of ammo. Just stuff like that. So, yes,
Yeah.
Ratchet.
I'm gonna go ahead
Wonderful
and
character.
say yes. He's definitely my favorite character. I just give me a million stories of Ratchet by himself being hunted down by six shot like Decepticon Armageddon and having to survive. It's always so fun. I loved it. I love him. The story. So
Then,
the
also in this, we also get to see all the other characters because you first started me out with all of the different spotlights here. I
yes.
believe the only one you did not show me at first was Nightbeat. Nightbeat, you showed me, I believe, in the second round after escalation.
Yeah, you can read Nightbeat before escalation. It'll still work, but like I was doing
Oh,
research
yeah.
and like Nightbeat, I think the events of Nightbeat leave. So like the main story of Nightbeat, where he's like investigating the dead universe and getting kidnapped, that all takes place during this era that everything else does. But the final page of it ends with Nightbeat being called to Earth by Optimus, which sets up escalation. So I decided to move it back just so the cliffhanger ending of that spotlight could lead you directly into escalation, even though most of it takes place earlier.
Yes. I am actually scrolling back to see if I can find.
But while you're
Oh man,
doing,
I deleted it. Okay, yes. So you had originally had me read a bunch of the spotlights. And so
yeah,
I
that
actually was, I think I read five spotlights first, but Nightbeat and Shockwave were switched.
no, Nightbeat and Soundwave were switched.
Soundwave, yeah, Soundwave. I looked at Soundwave and I said Shockwave because we've been talking about him. And I felt like that was a good thing to start out with because it was actually more chronologically like correct in the
Yeah,
storyline. And so then I
yeah,
read all of those, and I could tell you this: reading reading these five, I read Shockwave, Soundwave, Six Shot, Hot Rod, and Ultra Magnus. I only had to read those five 20 something page books, and that includes all the alternate covers and the like credits, so it's like 20 pages a piece, and
yeah.
I was beyond hooked.
Yes, it's
Like I was beyond hooked after just Soundwave Shockwave,
and so
because
the way this
I remember it was Soundwave Shock no Shockwave Soundwave, then you had me read Hot Ultra Magnus, then Hot Rod, then Six Shot.
okay. I didn't remember what order. I just remembered Shockwave was first.
Yeah, it was Shockwave Soundwave Ultra Magnus.
Yes, and
No, no,
so the
no. Soundwave Ultra Magnus Hot Rod Soundwave.
okay,
Soundwave
and
was
so
number four for me.
okay, and so the way spotlights work. So the main story is told for visual watchers on YouTube. The main story is infiltration, Stormbringer, escalation, devastation, uh, Revelation, which is also titled just Spotlight Volume 4, and Maximum Dinobots. That's the main story. The spotlights were one shot issues focusing on specific characters that tie into the larger story. So Shockwave sets up Or 13, which becomes the main MacGuffin of infiltration and escalation. Like it's what the Autobots and Decepticons are fighting over. Nightbeat investigates the Dead Universe, which is the third faction of Transformers that begin invading during Revelation and the end of Devastation. Hot Rod is a story about Hot Rod breaking into a maximum security Decepticon prison to break out his friend who's a POW, which sets up like other plot lines that are paid off in Revelation. Six Shot is about Six Shot being approached by a gang of like essentially alien Grim Reapers who want him to join them and abandon the Transformer
Mhm.
war, which sets up those alien Grim Reapers in trying to invade Earth during devastation, while the Autobots are desperately trying to deal with Six Shot. There's another alien invasion from these Grim Reapers, and Ultra Magnus is about Ultra Magnus going to arrest a Decepticon war criminal named Scorponok, which ends with him shooting Scorponok in the head, heavily damaging him, which leads into Scorponok's appearances and escalation and devastation. And Soundwave is about Soundwave spying on the goings on of a faction of Decepticons led by a Decepticon named Bludgeon, who are trying to rediscover the secrets of Thunderwing's Pretender technology, so they can finish it and make themselves into Pretenders and then overthrow Megatron, which sets up Bludgeon's storyline and Stormbringer. So all of these are setting up different plot points that will be like all that basically these set all these spotlights, they serve as character studies for the specific character in the title, and also all of them are setups for payoffs that are going to happen in the main story. And so it's all
It,
one interfolding narrative.
one of the things I was so like looking forward to at a particular point is when Soundwave was coming back in, because just from reading his spotlight, I was so hooked into Soundwave. I was like, I don't understand why you're so interested in Soundwave. Like, I just don't get it. And then it was almost instantaneous. It was like,
Yeah,
holy cow,
he's
dude
so
is
good.
nuts.
He's like the Decepticon version of Jazz in that like he's just good at everything. The difference being he's like the Decepticon version of Jazz if Jazz had no personality, which is what's so cool. Soundwave's like the Terminator. He's almost emotionless. He's so cool.
The other thing I think is really cool about him is he's also, for those who don't know, he's got what is called cassettes, in which are just essentially a bunch of like miniature transformers that he stores in his chest
Yeah, Soundwave has the ability
and
because
are super cool. And this
the
is where
original
you get, was it Frenzy, Ravage, Laserbeak?
Ravage and Laserbeak were in it. I don't know if Frenzy and Rumble were. Yeah, it's only
One of
Ravage and
them,
Laser.
one of them was that he had later on. It was the one where basically he just distorted everything, and this is when he shows back up. I think it
If
was
you're
Frenzy.
No, Frenzy appears in All Hail Megatron. Frenzy did not appear in any of the stories that Simon Furman wrote.
Well, there was one he showed up and basically this guy was ultra chaos. He caused distortion and like stuff like that,
And,
and it was right after Soundwave came back, essentially.
oh, I think I
Rumble,
know what.
maybe.
No, Rumble and Frenzy were not written in any of the Simon Furman stories. I think I know what you're talking about. It was probably the Soundwave's minions kind of tend to every now and then overlap with each other in terms of ability, so it probably was either Laserbeak or Ravage. No, the distortion. It was Soundwave. Soundwave. Once they like Soundwave's spotlight ends with him being mode locked, so he gets stuck in his tape cassette mode because he transforms into a tape cassette by Bludgeon, and the way he gets free is I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he gets trapped in his tape cassette mode in 1984, and then in 2006, it says that Soundwave has basically spent the last 20 years slowly in his internal systems hacking the mode lock that is on, and so he still can't transform, but he's been able to hack it over the course of 20 years for long enough that he can now send radio waves, and so he starts transmitting radio waves that jam Ravage and Frenzy's mind control, because Ravage and Frenzy not Ravage and Frizzy, Ravage and Laserbeak at the end of Spotlight Soundwave are basically destroyed, and at the end of it, much in the same way Shockwave ends with archaeologists uncovering Shockwave and the Dinobots, Spotlight Soundwave ends in present day
Oh yes. Okay.
2006.
I had. Okay. I found it. I found it. It was Frenzy, but the thing is, I was remembering something from All Hail Megatron because I actually restarted All Hail Megatron.
That's what I thought, because yeah, Frenzy does that. And but
Because
the
he's
way
the
it
one
works,
who induces like psychotic madness.
yes, that happens in All Hail Megatron with Frenzy. But Soundwave also has the ability to jam radio waves, which is what he does to get himself free. Ravage and Laserbeak are scavenged after they were destroyed by the Decepticons. Their bodies are scavenged by the American government, rebuilt, and the American government hacks their brains so that they can control them remotely. And then Soundwave, having regained enough control of his own body to broadcast signals, jams the frequencies that are brainwashing Ravage and Laserbeak so that they'll come rescue him, and then he regains his mode. I think that all happens in
Which
Devastation.
which I think honestly, one of the coolest parts about the whole thing with them is Soundwave at this point is the size of a boombox.
Yes,
His transformer form is a boombox,
yes,
but it's a human sized boombox. It's not a like it's like a not a massive transformer sized boombox. It's like the one that you would see on like your parents like mantle top or like the ones your parents would like hold on their shoulder where he's not that
yeah,
big.
yeah. The
And
kind of
like
thing,
one,
the
if
kind,
I remember correctly, at the end of his spotlight, he gets stored on a shelf.
yeah. He gets somewhat like because he's stuck in his stereo mode. Someone finds him and just sells him to a pawn shop, and so he's just in that pawn shop.
Yeah, and he's just there. But the thing is, this like people don't realize how much of a like BA this guy is.
Yeah, he has
And
an lots of transformers can size shift when they transform. Like any transformer that transforms into a common household appliance, like Soundwave being a boombox, they're able to shrink in size to become a normal sized boombox. It's kind of goofy. It's a holdover from the original cartoon because obviously Soundwave is the same size as
like
Optimus,
Megatron also being able to transform into a gun.
which has not retained. Like they've just changed his vehicle mode to a tank in modern stuff, which I prefer. I think Megatron as a tank makes more sense.
Yes. So continuing on with this story, obviously all of the people are trying to come to Earth. The Decepticons are on Earth now, trying to find um,
Or
this
13.
ore, trying to do all these things. And the Autobots get word of it, and they're like, "We need to go and figure out what's going on." And then you have the human situation with Ratchet, and things
Yeah,
begin to escalate significantly.
that's all in that's escalate, yes, which brings us to escalation. Stormbringer, I had you read that first, even though it's was released after Infiltration. Stormbringer is just about what Optimus was doing on Cybertron while Infiltration was going on, because Optimus shows up at the end of Infiltration. Basically, like I told you, like I mentioned, Soundwave sets up Bludgeon's story arc in Stormbringer. Stormbringer is where Bludgeon has basically almost cracked Pretender technology, and so he reactivates Thunderwing um,
Mhm.
because he wants to basically create a Pretender army that will wipe out alien planets and restore Cybertron to its glory. And so Optimus has to come back to Cybertron with a team of Autobots to take down Thunderwing and Bludgeon. And after Stormbringer ends rather poetically with Bludgeon testing Pretender technology on himself, just like Thunderwing did, and it's still not complete. And so Bludgeon is also turned insane. The difference being his Pretender suit is so primitive that he can't even pilot it. It's just immobile. So Bludgeon's just stuck in his own personal hell, being tortured inside a Pretender suit that he can't even pilot. So then Optimus comes to Earth because of Or 13, and that's where escalation happens, and he and Megatron have their first all out confrontation in a while on Earth as they fight over Or 13 and fight over all of the different political stuff because the Decepticons have replaced humans with fake humans. They've replaced world leaders with like robot replacements that look like the original to try to stir up human like animosity and get nations to fight each other. Because that's part of the infiltration protocols. Before the Decepticons reveal themselves, they replace real life human leaders with fake ones and have those fake human leaders stir up war so that the native population will basically wipe itself out before the Decepticons then and clean up the scraps, right? And so that's all going on in escalation.
Yeah, it's like super detailed, super great story at this point. And you begin to see as they're doing the infiltration stuff, like they have the different phases or whatever, and they're doing all this in. And when they're doing it, they have to like abide by um, these these protocols when doing so, or things just don't kind of make sense, and so they work through like phase one, phase two, and phase three.
Yeah.
And so then eventually they're like, well, we feel like things are going a particular direction at this point. And we really just think that maybe, just maybe, let's just speed everything up like significantly. So let's move to phase six.
Yeah, so escalation ends with basically they've had their first open conflict, Autobots and Decepticons, and hasn't gone great for either side. Optimus nearly gets killed by Megatron during the fight and is temporarily rendered comatose. And it is during his coma, it is while he's comatose that Optimus has an has a vision of something. Let me see. I can find an image of it real quick. While Optimus is on death's door because he was very nearly BTFO'd by Megatron. He has sort of a fever dream. Um, oh, it's not in here. But this is basically him after his fight with Megatron. And he has a fever dream where he sees a vision of a mysterious figure that he has never seen before. But something about it seems really familiar. And so that sets up, after escalation, you have Spotlight Optimus Prime, where Optimus goes to visit an ancient Autobot named Omega Supreme and tells him about the vision he had. And Omega Supreme was like, well, that's not good because your vision was of a Transformer I used to know called Nova Prime. And Nova Prime was a little bit crazy. And Nova Prime was a little bit like Megatron. And I was glad when Nova Prime disappeared during a space exploration without a trace because I thought we were maybe rid of him and we could just move on with a better Prime. But now it sounds like Nova Prime's back, and that sets up the third faction of Transformers that are coming, and will become replace the Decepticons as the villains in Revelation, which is Nova Prime, who has renamed himself Nemesis Prime, has been stuck in another universe called the Dead Universe for millions of years now. It's a universe where instead of life, everything is dead, and because of that, no, Nemesis Prime and all of his fellow Cybertronians who went into the universe with him are also technically dead. They're zombies, and if they come back to the main universe for too long, they'll just die. They'll be like basically death will catch up with them because they're already dead, and they will basically just turn into corpses. And so Nemesis Prime has launched a scheme to basically flip universes and cause the dead universe to expand into the living universe and turn the living universe into a zombie universe so that he can exist there again and come back to Cybertron because Nemesis Prime is a Cybertronian nationalist. He just loves Cybertron and wants to get back there. And so this all sort of leads to the sort of the Avengers Endgame level threat, which is an army of like undead transformers trying to invade from another universe to turn everything into a zombie empire. But we'll get to that in a minute. Basically, as to say, escalation starts planting the seeds of the forthcoming zombie transformers led by Nemesis Prime. Um,
But
and
then
yet,
so all of that
and yet,
leads eventually into them doing phase six.
yes, and so
Um,
like that's Optimus's side of it is he almost got killed by Megatron,
I
but he
thought
can't
phase
really,
six was
but he can't
Slingshot.
really, No, in Escalation before Phase 6, he fought Megatron and was almost killed.
Oh, okay.
And so Optimus is dealing with that. And at the same time, Megatron is not happy about the fact that he did not succeed in killing Optimus. It wasn't an outright victory for him either. And so Megatron's like, you know what? I'm growing impatient. I don't really want to wait.
I'm gonna pull a Grimlock
Yeah, it's like
and just say,
I don't really want to waste time with phases 3 through 5. Let's just do phase 6, which is where you come into devastation,
you
where
bring the apocalypses to the Earth, essentially.
yeah, Megatron calls Six Shot to Earth, and Megatron and Six Shot in the comic is even like Megatron. I don't have a problem per se with destroying this planet, but it's kind of weird that you're doing this now because you like really care about the Phase 6 protocol, and Megatron's basically just like, shut up, do what I told you to do.
There you go.
Yeah, here it is. I get that, Megatron. It's just I'm more of a Phase 6 kind of bot. Shape this planet's in. It doesn't look like it doesn't look more than the early stages of Phase 2 to me. You sure you want me out there doing what I do, how I do it? It's just when I'm done, they'll know it. And Megatron says, I no longer care. We're beyond the structure of phases here. 2, 3, it barely matters anymore. So Megatron's like,
Hey,
yeah,
cool.
yeah, Megatron's like, yeah, Optimus kind of pissed me off. So I'm gonna take it out on everyone now. Six Shot, go kill some people. And Six Shot's like, all right, bet. And
Six Shot's
so
like, sure, I'll roll the dice.
yeah, and so Six Shot goes out and starts wrecking stuff. And Ratchet, being Ratchet, gets caught up in all of it. And a significant chunk of devastation is Ratchet trying to stay alive as he because he and the humans he's trying to get the humans to safety, and Six Shot is just locked onto them and is trying to kill them, and it's not a good place to be in. Like, for example, for reference, here's a scene of Ratchet trying to escape Six Shot. This is the size of Six Shot compared to Ratchet.
Massive.
Yes.
Absolutely massive. And in Six Shot, I will tell you that, guys, this, like, literally, although the next image you have there, not the one of him crawling, but the plane on the
Yeah.
opposing sides, if you wouldn't mind pulling that one up and just zooming in on that. Because, oh, okay. How many times do I have to say no? I'm not and never will be a Reaper. Like, he's he's not a Reaper. He's not there to, like, do the thing that most people would think of as to, like, cause death. No, he's there to cause absolute destruction.
Yeah.
If
And
death occurs with it, oh well.
this line is also in reference to, like I said, devastation ends with the Reapers, the alien Grim Reapers that tried to recruit him the first time, coming to recruit him again. And so, like, the back half of Devastation is basically about how the Decepticons are kind of thrown into a bit of an issue. Optimus just evacuates Earth entirely, not because he's scared of Six Shot, but because right at the same time all this stuff with Six Shot's going on, he gets word from the other Autobots that Nemesis Prime is starting to make his move. Like, Spotlight Galvatron happened at about the same time as Optimus, where Galvatron, uh, Nemesis Prime's second in command, basically starts invading. Like, Galvatron starts the invasion process. He starts killing some Autobots, which puts him at odds with Sideswipe, who gets his own spotlight down here. Um, but so Optimus is getting word that the dead universe Transformers are starting to invade, and so Optimus is like, we actually can't do anything on Earth right now. Like, I don't want to abandon these people to the Decepticons, but like, we're talking about a universe-ending threat if we don't deal with the dead universe. And so
And
after
then
they
at that
manage,
point, and then at that point, if I remember correctly, Optimus goes and leaves the planet, and he makes a nice little call to a particular crew.
no, Optimus didn't make that call. I don't think.
I thought, no, it was Ultra Magnus.
Let me double check. Well, I'll double check in a minute because we'll get there. We'll get there. but so the back half of this is like the Autobots aren't even there. It's the Reapers have shown up at the worst possible time to try to recruit Six Shot again, and this time they actually convince him. They convince him that there's like he can do more with his ability. He can do more with his abilities than just serve Megatron. He should join them and just be wandering marauders, sort of bringing death throughout the universe. Because deep down, Six Shot is a lot less ideologically driven than he would like to have people believe. Deep down, he kind of just enjoys destroying stuff. And so Six Shot and the Reapers decide to go and attack the Decepticons on Earth to try and to begin their conquest of destroying everything. And so Megatron has to soup up on Or 13. He has to. Oh yes, infiltration ended with Starscream dosing up on Or 13 and trying to kill Megatron, and Megatron just destroys Starscream entirely because Megatron doesn't need steroids to take down Starscream. Um, But so Megatron has not killed Starscream yet, and so he reactivates Starscream and basically convinces Starscream to have a truce so that they can take down Six Shot together. Um, this is how the fight between Megatron and Starscream on Or 13 ended.
It ended in like a stalemate, if I remember correctly. Oh, I remember. That is a Megatron gun to the gut.
Yes. Reminder:
Megatron was like, "You need to back up, son."
Yeah. Reminders: Starscream is currently powered up on an ore that makes him invulnerable to all damage, and Megatron just blew a hole in his chest.
Because Megatron.
Yeah, but so Megatron reactivates Starscream, and he actually manages to talk Starscream into being loyal for him and working with him again, and so they take down Six Shot together. And that's kind of where the Decepticons are left at the end of Furman's run. They've successfully managed to fight off Six Shot and kill the Reapers. Simon Furman was obviously going to do more with them during his run, but we can get into what happened with Simon Furman's run as we get to the end of this, because the rest of this only deals with the dead universe, and in the case of Maximum Dinobots, with Scorponok, who has still not been accounted for since we talked about Ultra Magnus Spotlight. And so we don't need to talk about Spotlight Blaster. That was sort of a one-off that never went anywhere. On the Dead Universe plot line, we don't need to talk about Wheelie either. We sort of really start getting into the meat and potatoes of the Dead Universe with Spotlight RC, which
Honestly, I will tell you this.
I'm gonna let you talk about it.
I told you already.
Yeah.
So RC was just a basic character for me. It was just like, oh, it's the character that's usually like the motorcycle. It's usually just like the female one.
Yeah.
It's just a random transformer. Nothing great about RC. It's just RC. So, there was a character in the Dead universe by the name of G-Axis. I got it correct this time.
You did.
Okay. G-Axis was a mad scientist as well. And G-Axis had done many, many experimentations on various Transformers over the years, and one of those happened to be RC. And he was working into the idea of gender. And he made RC into a female.
Quick pin on that. So, female Transformers have existed in Transformers since the 80s. And
Only
like the original
RC, right?
No, the original cartoon had an episode even before RC was introduced. RC is not the first female Transformer. There was an episode of the original cartoon where the Transformers return to Cybertron, and there's an entire team of female Transformers that are female Autobots that are resisting the Decepticons. That's where that clip I sent you that one time came from. There's a funny clip of Shockwave. He sees on the security camera the female Autobots, and he goes, "Female Autobots," and people just clip it to him, just clip that scene to just him going "female," and like they joke that Shockwave is sexist because of it. Like he just sees the female Autobots on the security camera and he goes, "Female!" But so the concept of female Transformers was introduced in that episode, and then RC was introduced in the movie. So she's not even the first female Transformer. But so in the original cartoon, Shockwave says at one point that he thought the female Autobots had been wiped out. They talk about it like females are a different species, like they're an actual species that can be wiped out compared to male Transformers. So it's a little bit weird. Simon Furman was compelled when he was writing the original Marvel comics to put RC into it, and when he did, he felt the need to explain how she could exist because Simon Furman has maintained basically the entire time he's been working on Transformers that he doesn't think it makes sense for robots to have gender. He interprets all of them as being genderless, and the only reason they refuse he/him pronouns is because they're speaking English, and English has gendered language, and so you can't get around that. And so, like the gendered pronouns that they use are just them talking in English, and it doesn't actually indicate gender. And so, because of that, Simon Furman has always felt the need to explain why RC is female whenever she is introduced. And so, in the original Marvel comic, his explanation was a bunch of feminists came to Optimus Prime and complained to him that there weren't enough women in the Autobots. And so Optimus built RC to get them to leave him alone. And so
I like
that was
that
her
one.
that was her origin in the original Marvel comic. And so now we have in IDW, he's come up with a new origin, which, like once again, it's explained in Spotlight RC that Transformers are genderless. And as you were getting into, Luke, Geaxis, this mad scientist who the connection between RC and the Dead Universe plotline is Geaxis is one of Nemesis Prime's troopers. He's one of the troops that Nemesis Prime took with him to explore the Dead Universe, and so that's how RC is connected to the Dead Universe. But
Yeah.
Geaxis, before he went to the Dead Universe, was fascinated by the idea of gender in other species, and so he was like, I want to try and create gender in our species." And so he abducted RC and
You
forcefully,
want me to finish this part of it? Because this is like what I was actually super fascinated by about this.
yeah, I'd love to hear how you summarize this.
And so obviously Giaxis kidnaps RC, begins to do experimentation on her, and changes her into a female. And in the process of doing so, from what I deduce from the storyline, RC was deeply upset with this because how could a monster like G-Axis do such technological and physiological like experiments on something to change them to such a core level that RC became focused, kind of like a John Wick level of focused on doing everything she could to find G Axis and do everything she could to exact the revenge that she felt due um, for what he had done to her. You can attest this to something of like what we talked about earlier with like Darth Maul trying to kill Kenobi and trying to kill Palpatine for all the things that they did to him.
Yes, the
And
uh, the Kenobi meme of Maul screaming Kenobi's name is RC 24/7 with G-axis.
yes, and so one of the things that we see in this run is we see
Actually, speaking
a
of, literally the first page of RC Spotlight is her doing,
yes.
yeah, doing a Kenobi.
Yes. Okay, so why does this particular image look like this? So a little bit of backstory: the beginning of her spotlight, if I remember correctly, begins in um, a prison of some sort. I don't remember exactly where it is at. but there is different containment levels, and there's different containment security measures, and something occurs within the prison, and the prison then has a whole bunch of malfunctions, and a bunch of people are released. And one of these individuals, they learn, is RC. Um, and the people working at the prison are like, ah, crap. Oh, no. Ah, oh, shoot. Oh, no. Ah, we got to do everything we can to get the door shut because they know how much of a loose cannon RC is, because she will stop at nothing until she can get her hands on G-Axis and kill him.
Yeah, like
So at this point, she then proceeds to work her way out of the prison and just goes absolutely ham. And I will tell you this, from my personal perspective, I've only known RC as it's just a female like character, and like whatever. But there was such a like a relation to RC on a different level because of all the different medias that I've connected with over the years, and literally, I can attest this to like. She has a John Wick level of focus with a Maul level of anger.
yeah, she's kind of like Wolverine whenever he goes Weapon X mode. But
Yes.
but so like as you said, like the story of like Spotlight RC is that she was captured by Ultra Magnus an undisclosed amount of time ago because RC is
Oh, I forgot about that part entirely.
yes, because RC is obviously a war criminal. Like she's not an Autobot or a Decepticon. She's basically been spending her entire life going from planet to planet, galaxy to galaxy, finding anyone or anything remotely associated with G-Axis and killing the frick out of it because she doesn't want to just get revenge on G-Axis.
Wait. Purge his handiwork from the universe.
Yeah,
That's
she
what
does.
it is.
She doesn't just want to kill G-Axis, she wants to destroy everything he's ever touched. And so she's killed a lot of
But
people and
she's not like it's just like I just want to kill G-Axis. No, I want to kill the concept of G-Axis.
yeah, anything he's done I want to tear down. And so she's killed and destroyed a lot of people and things that aren't just Decepticons. And so because of that she's arrested by Ultra Magnus and put in maximum security Autobot prison. But
You
it
know,
just so
like super cool, like macho Optimus like dude.
yeah. And it just so happens that the prison she's imprisoned in is the same prison that they are putting the Monstructor 6 in, which
Ah,
we
yes. Yes.
we did not talk super in depth about them, but the Monstructor 6 refers to a team of Decepticons. Um,
Who combine together.
and to form a massive monster named Monstructor. They were introduced in Spotlight Optimus Prime. They were the result of G-Axis's attempts to create combiners because there's a concept in Transformers which is combiners, which is five to six five to six normal sized transformers that can combine into one giant transformer. If you've seen the
What are the
Michael
ones that are green? Are those
Constructicons.
the ones? They're the ones that make Monstructor, correct?
Now Constructicons make Devastator. Monstructor
Okay.
is
Yeah, construct do Devastator.
Mon-
Yeah.
yeah, Monstructor. Um, this is
Monstructor
Monstructor.
is like a different concept because it's like nothing is color matched.
Yeah, nothing's color matched. I think that's part of what's supposed to make him look so off-putting. But like, so in the original, in most Transformer stuff, like combiners are just naturally occurring. Like they are a group of Transformers that were created with the ability to combine. In IDW, because Simon Furman wanted to create an origin story for everything, in IDW, combiners aren't naturally occurring. They are the result of experimentation, and Monstructor was the first combiner ever created by G-Axis, and because of that, he is insane. He's about as insane as Thunderwing, and like
Yeah.
he's just a complete
He's about as
menace.
powerful too.
Yeah, he's a complete menace, and Monstructor is introduced in Spotlight Optimus Prime, where he tries to kill Omega Supreme while Optimus is visiting Omega Supreme to ask about Nemesis Prime, and so Optimus has to destroy Monstructor. And after defeating Monstructor next appears in Spotlight RC because his individual components, the six robots that combine into him, are being taken to the maximum security prison where she is. And as they're being processed, the Decepticons launch an attack on that prison, which frees them. And so the Autobots have no choice but to let RC out to try to fight all these horrible monsters that
Oh
are.
yes, that was the part. Okay, I was just like, okay. I couldn't remember everything exactly, but I just remembered like RC just went insane in this prison. And it was wonderful.
Yes. It's a very interesting take on RC. Because even going back to the original RC's bio, she's never been portrayed like it. But like the idea with RC is like the original concept of RC is like right here. Like she looks safe, she looks friendly, but she's a ruthless and deadly warrior who's an expert in hand-to-hand combat and one of the best sharpshooters on record. That was like her original bio, but that was never really played into. As you said, she's usually just the girl. And so
Mhm.
IDW was Simon Furman leaning into the fact that despite RC looking pretty harmless, she's actually one of the most destructive forces in the Cybertronian race. One of the best fighters, one of the most dangerous warriors. And so he was leaning into that. The part about her being,
She's literally top tier. I will tell you that.
yeah,
I if I really wonder what would happen if someone tried to depict a battle between Six Shot and RC.
I think Six Shot would win. At
I
the end of
know
the
Six
day,
Shot would win, but I wonder how the battle would move,
it is interesting
like
because I
how
think,
step by step would be because of how I would say like I think the word I want to use here is like ravenous, like how ravenous RC is based off of this depiction.
yeah, I don't know like how the fight would go, but I know just in terms of power scaling, Ultra Magnus was able to defeat and arrest RC. So like,
Well,
it's like power scaling. It's like
Ultra
Ultra
Magnus may have needed help.
maybe, but like
We don't know exactly, but
Ultra Magnus is more powerful than RC. Optimus is more powerful than Ultra Magnus, and Optimus only barely
cannot
survives.
beat.
Yeah, only barely survived fighting Six Shot with an entire team of Autobots backing him.
Yes.
So power scaling is our friend in this scenario. But like, so that's all the setup is like. Monstructor has been freed at this point. Um, Nemesis Prime is making his moves with his forces to invade, and RC has finally gotten and RC in her spotlight has gotten what's the word I'm looking for? A clue to helping her find G-Axis. Um, Again, we don't need to talk about Spotlight Blaster. The next one I had to read was Spotlight Grimlock, which is Grimlock waking up in the
Yay.
modern day after being scavenged. Oh, I should also say, because we haven't talked about it yet, Escalation also introduced headmasters, one of the most important parts of this arc. There's
I
a
think
group.
honestly the headmaster's part is interesting because like easy concept is they take the brain, or they take the head of a transformer and they connect it to a bunch of computers, hook it up to a processing system in which then that processing system creates a like a Neuralink system with armor and allows you to have a body modification to have um, a connection to the brain of this transformer. Then they mass produce all these different um, bodies of the transformer itself, and then you yourself can attach to that car as a head, and
Yes.
then go from there. And so they do this with two particular transformers. Um, the first one being, who was it again? I
Sunstreaker.
can't remember. Sunstreaker, yes. Sunstreaker, which one of the three main humans that was saved by Ratchet early on in the storyline, um, gets taken along with Sunstreaker in a
To be used as
like a
guinea
big,
pigs.
yeah, they're used as guinea pigs to work on this headmaster project. And this whole headmaster project is being head up by the American government, who's being worked with by the Decepticons. And how are they being
Actually,
worked with by?
no. So the Machination, the company that is doing Headmasters, is not affiliated with the American government. Skywatch, the company that
Oh yes,
has
yes.
Shockwave and Grimlock, they are affiliated, but Machination is a private company.
Machination, yes, they are in cahoots with one particular Decepticon, that being an individual by the name of Scorponok.
Who was
Um,
like we said, was introduced in in Spotlight Ultra Magnus, which ended with Ultra Magnus shooting him in the head and damaging him so
yes,
badly that by the time you get to escalation, he Scorponok has somehow arrived on Earth. They don't say how he got there, but he has been reduced to a disembodied head. His body is completely unusable. His head is being kept on life support, and the implication is that's why he's inventing headmaster technology, so that he can use that technology to regain use of his body.
yes. And so they're continually working all through these stories on Earth is them working with the Transformers trying to stop the Headmaster projects and all this stuff. And eventually it leads to Sunstreaker getting his own head back and them doing the best they can to stop the Scorponok side. And eventually Machination does get taken over, if I remember correctly. Or does,
They get
like,
they just get taken down, yeah. But so because Sunstreaker was being held captive by Machination at the time of Devastation, when the Autobots leave Earth, Sunstreaker is actually the only Autobot left on Earth at that point, besides the Dinobots, who were also in Skywatch's custody. And so, basically, their capture, Sunstreaker and the human Hunter Onion are captured in Escalation, and they escape in Devastation. Hunter, having been a guinea pig for the
Hunter being one
Headmaster.
of the three from the Ratchet
Yes.
scenario at the beginning.
Hunter, having been the guinea pig for the Headmaster process, is able to do the headmaster process, and so he manages to escape the operation room he's kept in, finds finds a sun finds one of the many mass-produced Sunstreaker bodies that were made, and is able to link himself to it as the head of that headmaster body and escape. And because of the headmaster process, he has a psychic link with Sunstreaker so they can speak to each other in their minds. And so he manages to escape and sort of that kicks off and sort of decides to, since the Autobots are gone, use his time to try to take down Machination while they're gone, which leads into his role in Maximum Dinobots, where Hunter and Sunstreaker are actively trying to take down Machination by themselves. But before we get there, we got Spotlight Grimlock. Grimlock,
Yes.
being Grimlock, um,
The Grimlock.
Me, Grimlock. Grimlock being Grimlock is Skywatch has been testing on the inert Dinobot forms after they dug them out of the volcano in 2006, and they decide to try activating them to see what will happen. They've
Uh oh.
outfitted all of the Dinobots with the same sort of mind control collars that they used on Laserbeak and Ravage, So they think that when they activate them, they will be able to just control them, which they can for 4 of the Dinobots. But unfortunately for them, Grimlock is some. Grimlock is
Grimlock exists.
yeah. Unfortunately for them, Grimlock exists, and now he's going to ruin their entire lives. And so they activate Grimlock, and Grimlock just immediately goes on a Hulk-style rampage and breaks out of the
And they're like,
facility.
"What's going on? It's out of our control. I thought you
Yep.
said you had this thing under control." It's like, nah, no, you can't control Grimlock. It's Grimlock.
Yeah. Good luck with that. If Optimus can't control him, you certainly can't. But so Grimlock gets out, and he goes to find his ship, the Skyfire, which he used to get to Earth with the Dinobots, and which he also used to bombard them from orbit without telling them. And as he's visiting his ship, trying to figure out what to do and how he's going to freeze Dinobots, Scorponok comes to see him because by this point, now that the headmaster technology has been completed, Scorponok is in one piece again. He has to partner himself with a human to work, but that's neither here nor there. And so he visits Grimlock and tries to convince Grimlock to join forces with him. And Grimlock does what Grimlock does best.
Smash.
Yeah, which is beat the crap out of Scorponok. And
And the
beats him
dude who
up.
was the head, literally, like, the guy was out cold.
Yeah. And so Grimlock basically tells Scorponok that he can shove his team up off where the sun don't shine. Beats the crap out of him, and the guy has to retreat. And
Then
and
he begins to work on trying to find the remaining Dinobots.
oh, this is reminding me. Okay, now I understand. So the reason Grimlock was able to break his mind control is because the machination that actually um, sabotaged Skywatch. Like you see right here, a Skywatch employee named Kloss ducks into a room and calls the machination, revealing that he planted a virus in Grimlock's collar so that he won't be controlled. So machination has infiltrated Skywatch, and that's why Grimlock was not under control, because Scorponok actually freed him with the intention of recruiting Grimlock to the Decepticons, and Grimlock said no. And so Spotlight,
No,
Grim,
Grimlock didn't say no. Grimlock said, but I do. Clong!
but it ends with Scorponok basically being like, "All right, I'm a little bit pissed
Crap.
off that Grimlock. I'm a little bit pissed off Grimlock beat me up," and so he says, so he basically tells Scott the machination to override Skywatch and activate the rest of the Dinobots and send them to kill Grimlock, which is another setup for maximum Dinobots. And so at this point, you've got everything set up for Revelation, which is the Dead Universe storyline, and for Maximum Dinobots, which is the Machination storyline. So, how do you want to go with the Dead Universe stuff, Luke?
Give it to him just like I had to go through it, which is a quick explanation of what happened to Furman.
Hmm.
So, Furman had been writing all of this stuff at this point,
Yeah, if you
and he
total
was
up
very
every
proud of his work. He was been doing a lot of good stuff. And IDW said, "Hey Furman, you know how we told you you're gonna have this many comics that you can write and all this stuff? Yeah, we lied. You get less, significantly less.
yeah,
To be
so
exact, you get 4 more comics." And go ahead.
so if you tally up everything Simon Furman has written from this arc, which I did, every issue that Simon Furman is credited as a writer for, it totals 44 issues, including the spotlights. And you'll notice outside of Stormbringer, which is 4 issues, and Infiltration, which included an issue 0, which is like a preview issue, which would total for 7 issues. Every miniseries he did, Escalation, Devastation, technically Infiltration, because with number 0, he's still numbered at 6 issues, even though it's technically 7. The magic number that was sort of being shot for was 6 issues for each miniseries. And Furman has said, like right here, Spotlight Volume 4 / Revelations, 4 issues. Furman has said the original plan was for Revelation to be 6 issues, so this was going to be 2 issues longer. And he had said that the plan then after that was for another miniseries to come out after that. Like this is Revelation is technically Volume 4 of the what Furman called the Ions era, because everyone ends with ION, right? And so Revelation is Volume 4 of the Ions sort of overarching series. And Revelation, 6 issues, was supposed to be followed up by another miniseries called Expansion, which would also be 6 issues, which would have wrapped up the Dead Universe storyline. Furman has said Maximum Dinobots is, to quote him, he said it is more or less what he wanted to do with the Dinobot storyline. So I have a feeling this was supposed to be 6 issues as well, but it got shortened to 5. And Furman has said that it basically came out the way he wanted to. But the Dead Universe storyline was supposed to be 12 issues in total, and as you can see, it ended up only being 4. And so the Dead Universe storyline is incredibly rushed, particularly Spotlight Sideswipe. Spotlight Sideswipe is kind of insane with how much stuff happens in it.
Yes. Like, so it's the spotlight about Sideswipe. He appears on less than a quarter of the pages.
Yes, there is an exact number here. Despite this being Sideswipe's spotlight issue, the titular character only appears on a mere 7 out of 22 pages.
So a third of the pages.
Yes, and so
Like it's such an insanely low number.
yeah, and the reason all this happened is Furman said that initially he was told that they were axing Expansion, but he was still getting Revelation. So instead of 12 issues, it was going to be 6. And so he started planning to have a 6 issue wrap up. And then after they had told him it was going to be 6 issue Revelation, they contacted him again and said he wasn't getting Revelation either. They were just going to give him 4 more Spotlight issues. And so that's why Revelation is also, as you can see, it's marked as Spotlight Volume 4 / Revelation. It is on my trade paperback copy that I have of it. It is labeled as Spotlight Volume 4 because it's considered a Spotlight series instead of Revelation, even though it's technically doing the Revelation storyline. But so 3 of these 4 Spotlights are good. Which leads me to think that these 3 spotlights, Cyclonus, Hardhead, and Double Dealer, might have already been in the cards. Like he probably was going to do these as spotlights anyway, because these are really good and they don't feel like they've been affected by the fewer issues at all. Cyclonus is one of Nemesis Prime's soldiers that he sends to.
Cool.
Yeah, that he sends to the living universe to prepare for the expansion. And so Nemesis Prime's plan for the expansion is G-Axis has built a number of machines that, when activated, will cause the 2 universes to begin switching place. So, like, the living universe will become the dead universe, and the dead universe will become the living universe. And so that way, because the living universe will now be dead, the Decepticons from the dead universe will be able to survive in it. Like, it's not like the universes are switching places in the sense of Cybertron will go into the dead universe. It's just like one universe is becoming dead and the other.
One will lose life and the other one will gain life.
Yeah, and so these zombie transformers will then be able to go into the one that has lost life so that they won't die there. And so they've got these machines, and they're also collecting basically like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse to guard these machines. So one of them is Monstructor, They freed Monstructor so that they could have Monstructor guard one of the machines. They,
Insert Spotlight RC.
yeah, they they go and they reactivate Thunderwing, who has been deactivated again after Stormbringer. They
Insert
go,
or Stormwing or Stormbringer.
yeah, so they go and they get Thunderwing and reactivate him and put him and plop him down in front of one of the machines. And I forget who the third one was. Oh, it was Six
Six
Shot.
Shot.
Yeah, so
Who is
Devast
the other one? I can't remember. It's freaking Six Shot. That's
yeah.
who.
So Devastation, like I said, Six Shot betrays
All
Megatron and
three
Devastation.
apocalyptic level nightmares.
Yeah, so Devastation, like I said, ends with Six Shot betraying Megatron and joining the Reapers. And Megatron reveals that Megatron is a smart man, and so Megatron knew Megatron knew better than to create a Decepticon like Six Shot that he couldn't possibly hope to beat in a battle without a backup plan. And so Megatron revealed in Devastation that he actually has a secret code word, which if he utters in Six Shot's presence, will cause Six Shot to immediately shut down and just go comatose, which is how he defeats Six Shot at the end of Devastation. And so the Dead Universe Cybertronians have also abducted Six Shot's comatose form and reactivated him, using the code word Megatron has to mind control him. So now they've got Six Shot, Monstructor, and why am I blanking? Thunderwing guarding,
Monster, Thunderwing, Six Shot.
yeah, guarding their three machines that are going to turn the living universe dead. And so that's what Spotlight Cyclonus is about. It's about him sort of collecting. I forget, he doesn't collect all of them. There's one specific one he's collecting. Um, yeah, it's Spotlight Cyclonus is about him activating Thunderwing to guard
Yeah.
Thunderwing's one. And it's about
Which
Cyclo
then, if I remember correctly, Bludgeon shows up again soon.
Yes, because G-Axis also, because Bludgeon is also brain dead, just like Thunderwing. G-Axis also reactivates Bludgeon and remote controls him so that they can have a backup in case anything goes wrong.
Yes.
And so,
You can just basically view Bludgeon as like he's aight. He's he's less weaselly than um Starscream, but I'd say roughly the same power level.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest, Bludgeon's kind of lame in this. I'd
Yeah,
forgotten.
he's quite lame.
I'd forgotten until I reread it. Like, every other version of Bludgeon is cooler than this, including the other versions that Simon Furman has done, because Simon Furman's done Bludgeon more than once, and this version's just lame. Like his plan of having Thunderwing destroy other alien planets because he believes that sacrificing other planets to Thunderwing will make Cybertron come back to life. It's like it's like
Eh,
this it's like this pseudo religious thing, which I don't believe a transformer at this point would believe. Like transformers have religion, they have like their god Primus and stuff like that, but I just don't buy that any transformer would like actually believe in the idea that destroying other planets will s- somehow sacrificially fuel Cybertron in a spiritual sense or something. I just don't buy it.
yeah. So, at the end of all of this, what eventually happens is the Autobots and everybody hears about what's going on, and they begin to construct mega teams to go and stop these three machines from doing the tasks in which they are supposed to do
Yes. And
to convert the
in between
universe.
then, so that's what happens in Sideswipe. In between, then we have Spotlight Hearthead, which Spotlight Hearthead pays off Spotlight Nightbeat because, as I mentioned briefly, Spotlight Nightbeat ends with Nightbeat getting abducted by G-Axis and turned into a sleeper agent for Nemesis Prime. He's implanted with like a mind control program with the intention of having him assassinate Optimus Prime. Um, and Hardhead is basically about Nightbeat has not been activated yet, and he and Hardhead have discovered like the connection. The planet where Nightbeat was abducted is called Golem Prime, and they're revisiting Golem Prime because they Nightbeat is gradually regaining some memories and thinking there might be a connection to the key to beating the dead universe there. And once they get there, Geaxis reactivates Nightbeat um, with the intention of having him kill Hardhead and then go assassinate Optimus Prime. Unfortunately, Nightbeat is not really
Hardhead.
a. What did I say?
No, I said no. Unfortunately,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Hardhead is what
yeah.
I said.
Unfortunately, Nightbeat is not a warrior, and Hardhead is only a warrior. So, Giaxis basically activated an IRS agent to kill a Navy SEAL, and so Spotlight Hardhead
And
ends
it
with
worked
Hardhead.
out well.
Yeah, Hardhead just kills Nightbeat, which is one of my favorite payoffs. Nightbeat and Hardhead are really close. They're not really close friends, but they are pretty close comrades in arms. And Nightbeat is beginning to suspect there may be something wrong with him. He's theorizing there may be something about him he doesn't know, and so he makes Hardhead swear to kill him if anything goes sideways. And as soon as Giaxis activates Nightbeat's sleeper program, Hardhead just shoots him in the head. No hesitation.
It's quick, easy, to the point, and he's like, "I know what I must do, and I have
Yeah.
the power to do it." Bye.
Yeah, it's a very unceremonious way for Nightbeat to go out. I like Nightbeat a lot, and I really like that end for his character. It's a really interesting way for him to end. Like this is the panel of Nightbeat dying. He just gets 360 no scoped.
Yeah, it's just a quick twist, boom, dead.
Yeah.
And like for me, like I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." Because at this point, I could, as I'm reading through this, you can feel it's being rushed. You could feel like, okay, we've got however many issues left, and the stories aren't complete yet. How are we going to get there? It's the what is the there was a show, um Stranger Things. Stranger Things was having a big problem because they had built all this stuff up across 7 episodes, and they had 2 hours to complete it, all these different storylines. And this is essentially the same thing. For me at this point, I could feel like, okay, we're on episode 6 here of like episode of 8 episodes, and we haven't really like brought a ton of stuff to like the end yet. So where are we going to go with this? And at this point, I was just like, okay, like I know I'm supposed to be like let down at this because Favor had already told me about the whole deal with Furman. And so he said it's good, but at the same time you do know like there is a rushing nature to this.
Mm. Yeah. Which it's interesting that you were already feeling it with Hardhead, because like I said a minute ago, I feel like Cyclonus, Hardhead, and Double Dealer are kind of well paced. Sideswipe is the only one to me that feels incredibly rushed to the
So
point that
they
like,
they are well paced, but at the same time I had the foreknowledge because you had already told me.
okay, yeah, like I genuinely do wonder if like Cyclonus, Hardhead, and Double Dealer in the world where Furman got to write Revelation and expansion as he wanted to, if Cyclonus, Hardhead, and Double Dealer would still be spotlights because they feel like spotlights. They don't feel like they're supposed to be part of the main storyline in the way that Sideswipe definitely feels like it's just the main storyline, which as we talked about, Sideswipe is only in 7 of the 22 pages of his spotlight, even though he's supposed to be the main character because Simon Furman is wrapping up every other plot line.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It is just so what we're telling you eventually. like we're gonna fast end this real quick, just kind of like how Simon had to do it. So, Double Dealer, basically, he was a character. He was named Dealer, but he had a secret nickname because he was double. He was a double agent. He can work for either side, and he did a little
He's
bit of a betrayal thing against Hot Rod.
yeah, he's the POW that Hot Rod saved in his spotlight. Not real Hot Rod not knowing at the time that Double Dealer was actually a double agent, and he wasn't a POW at all. Like he was pretending to be, so that he and the Decepticons were pretending that he was a POW, so that Hot Rod would save him and bring him back to the Autobots where he could be a double agent again. And Double Dealer is basically about the mission that Double Dealer got quote unquote caught on was one where he, Hot Rod, and a bunch of other Autobots were looking for a mysterious artifact called the Magnificence, which is said to basically be like a magic fortune teller ball. You ask it any question and it will tell you the answer because it's an all knowing genie essentially. And so Hot Rod is looking for it because he believes that having an all knowing genie will make it really easy for them to win the war, which is true. And they never find it because Dealer betrays them. But Spotlight Double Dealer is basically Hot Rod. Now that the dead universe is starting to invade, Hot Rod thinks that finding the Magnificence and having an all-knowing genie tell them what to do about it will give them an easy win against the dead universe. So they're looking for it again. He's going with Double Dealer, and Double Dealer is planning to kill him as soon as they find the Magnificence and take the Magnificence back to the Decepticons. But what Double Dealer has not realized is that Hot Rod is
No, Double Dealer is the double agent.
because Hot Rod has spent like Hot Rod, I believe, in timeline wise, Hot Rod saved Double Dealer from the freed Double Dealer from the prison he was in like 1913 or something like so over 100 years ago. And before that, he Dealer had been in the prison camp for hundreds of years. So Hot Rod has had hundreds of years. Like the team he was a part, he and Double Dealer was a part of had like three other people in it that were all killed. It was the first time Hot Rod had ever been the leader of an Autobot platoon, and it ended with three of his soldiers getting killed and the other one getting captured by the Decepticons. It's been a huge source of guilt for him. And so what Double Dealer does not know is that Hot Rod,
And which actually, the thing is, this you actually see this back originally in Hot Rod Spotlight because he basically mentions to himself, he's like, I'm a one man team, I'm a lone wolf, essentially,
yes, he's
because
never
of the incident that occurs.
Yeah, he's never forgiven himself. And because he's never forgiven himself, what Double Dealer doesn't realize, because Double Dealer is a sociopath, is that Hot Rod has spent the last however many hundreds of years reliving that failed mission over and over again, trying to figure out what he did wrong because he had the perfect plan. Like, he and the team had worked out the perfect plan to make sure no casualties would happen, and everything that needed to go wrong did go wrong. And so Hot Rod has been going over that mission over and over again without fail for hundreds of years, just continually wondering what he could have done differently to make it everything work. And Hot Rod has, even though he's hard on himself and even though he wants to blame himself, Hot Rod has eventually come to the only logical conclusion you could come to, which is someone must have betrayed someone for every single thing that went wrong with that mission that could only have gone wrong if someone had been tipped off. He's like, someone must have betrayed us. And so when they
There's
find them,
only one person alive,
yeah, and so
and
when
it's
they
Hot Rod.
and so when they get to the Magnificence, Hot Rod, like Double Dealer, is planning to shoot Hot Rod in the back of the head to execute him. And so to sort of distract Hot Rod so he won't notice him like cocking his gun, Double Dealer says, "Well, test it, see if it actually works. Ask it a question." So Hot Rod's like, "Yeah, I'll ask it a question." And he picks up the Magnificence that says, "Did Dealer betray us?" And it answers yes. And he just turns around and shoots Dealer.
Yeah, and so it was like a really, really cool ending to that. To which then, after we finished this spotlight, I think honestly what happened at this point like we had the three stories that were all flushed out, and I feel like right as Furman had just finished writing this one and was getting ready to publish it, like he'd already sent it off to the editors, he gets the information and he's told, "Hey, you have one more spotlight. You can't
Well,
write
that's
anymore."
Well, that's the interesting thing because Simon Furman has said those four spotlights he was given were what he was given instead of the original plan. So he said he was going to write Revelation and Expansion, which would be 12 issues total, and then he was told that he was not going to be. They were not going to let him write Expansion, so he was only writing Revelation. And then he
And
was
that's what
told,
I'm thinking. Like at this point, I feel like he's still only got the the six story. But the thing is, like, I think he's doing like spotlights at this point.
I guess that's possible because the way Simon Furman says it is that he was told after he was told he would get Revelation, they called him again and said, actually, we're not giving you Revelation. We will give you four more spotlights to finish out whatever you can, which I thought was basically he was told that and then he wrote those four spotlights. But I guess it's possible that you're right and that like he had already written three of them and then he was called up and was like, by the way, these spotlights that you're writing are the last things you're going to be allowed to write. I guess that's possible. That's not the
It
way
makes
he's.
the most logical sense because the first three, like you had said, they really do a pretty decent job at like telling the story, not feeling rushed, nothing of that nature. And then the very last one, it's just super rushed.
Yeah.
Why is so much detail and so much like time spent in these first three like a normal pacing with a little bit of a speed up? And then the last one is Sonic.
Yeah, that is. You
So
bring up a good point. That's not how Furman's ever recounted it, but that I could definitely see that happening. Like, that's definitely a possibility.
yeah,
But that being said, like we have the Thunderwing plotline, the Or 13 plotline, the Headmasters plotline, the Dead Universe plotline, um, turn the Reapers plotline, like this the Phase 6 plotline, like all these the Dinobots and Machination, which to be fair, that's being wrapped up in Maximum Time. Let's keep the Headmasters out of that. You've got the Dead Universe plotline, the Or 13 plotline, like all the Phase Sixers and all that. Like the main every main storyline except for Headmasters and the Dinobots has all led to this single issue instead of the
it's
12.
22 pages, isn't it, essentially?
Yeah, instead of the 6 to 12 Furman thought he was going to have. And so, um, Wild, you've read this more recently than me, so you'll definitely remember it. You'll probably remember it more clearly than me. But even you messaged me and you were like, "Wow, this is not good." But like stuff is just happening. Like Thunderwing and Six Shot and Monstructor, these three. Like Monstructor, Optimus took down Monstructor on his own. Like Monstructor is not unstoppable; he's just super powerful. But Thunderwing and Six Shot basically invulnerable, and they get defeated off screen so that they can destroy the G-Axis Dead Universe uh, things.
Well, the thing is this though, you have to remember there's a quintessential like missing factor that you have in this story.
Mm.
Is and one of those is that one of the so what had happened was there were three assault groups that were attacking the three different points across the universe who were all doing their job to try and rid themselves of the apocalypse level thing so then they can get to the machines and take care of the job and get rid of the G-axis machines. And it required all three of them to do the task in order. It required all three machines to get the task that G-axis wanted to have done. So truly, they only needed to get rid of one to stop it. And well, there's a particular group there, and they're the ones who get the job done, and they're known as the Wreckers because the Wreckers are the Wreckers. And I can't remember which team it is exactly. That I think they did. I think it literally was the Wreckers versus Six Shot, if I remember correctly, which was like, oh my gosh, it was just such a colossal battle at that point.
Hold
And
on. I think it was the Wreckers versus Thunderwing, but
Thunderwing,
I'm
okay,
trying to find an image that can confirm for me right now.
it was because if I remember correctly, as they're going to stop, they were all having to communicate with each other. That's what it was, and so they actually no, all of the machines had to be stopped. And if all the machines weren't stopped, then the whole system wouldn't work correctly. Or there was like a fail safe or something. So they all shut off all the systems all at the same time, roughly. And so, uh,
Yeah, so it's RC and a team of Decepticons go after Monstructor. The Wreckers handle Thunderwing, and then Sideswipe's team goes after Six Shot, I think.
yes. And which eventually everyone gets through, and Bludgeon is defending who again? Was he defending Thunderwing?
No, Bludgeon was a backup. I need to actually double check what his
He
role.
was a backup on one of the characters.
Yes.
Basically, the way it works is all these people are on a rock, and there's one entrance, and
Yeah.
everything funnels towards this one entrance. You got the massive apocalypse level thing in the way, and and then on the inside you have the machines,
No, I've got it.
and the
Bludgeon
only
was
way to
dispatched by G-Axis to assassinate Jetfire because Jetfire was coordinating all of the
yes,
attacks.
and that got stopped by Jetfire,
I think Jetfire had help, but I don't remember by who.
maybe Sideswipe, either that or it was
No,
Blast or one of the two.
no, it was G-Axis basically. I'm reading it on the wiki. Multiple fronts of Autobot resistance at each Negacore kept G-Axis from focusing his full attention on controlling Bludgeon, and he was forced to abandon his effort to kill Jetfire. So because like I said, Thunderwing was not Thunderwing, Bludgeon was brain dead. He was fully remotely controlled by G-Axis 100%. And so as soon as G-Axis had to go and focus on the other Negacores, Thunderwing was only like Bludgeon was only capable of moving as long as G-Axis was controlling everything he did. So basically, as soon as G-Axis had to abandon the assassination attempt on Jetfire, Bludgeon just shut down because he didn't have anyone to pilot
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, so basically at that point, everything is like, yay, we did it, we did it, we did it, yay! And then
Enter Nemesis Prime,
Nemesis Prime shows,
and
and
he goes to kill Optimus because he wants to steal the Matrix of Leadership, which is the Matrix of Leadership is it's hard to describe what it is, but it's like a
basically
religious
it's the one ring
for good
the
people.
Prime. It's the one ring for the good people who are the leaders, and it's oh no, it's Thor's hammer.
Well, because
It's
not
Thor.
not in that sense, because it doesn't generally give you like a bunch of superpowers. Like it'll upgrade your body. Like the reason Optimus Prime is so
Sure,
big is
but
because the Matrix upgraded his body.
it's the matrix of leadership because it gives you the approval from Cybertron himself to be a worthy leader of the planet and the things of good. And so
Yeah, the
that's why
Matrix.
Optimus has it, and usually only a prime can have the matrix of leadership.
Yeah, it is. It is basically like it's like the Transformer arc of the Covenant. It's like kind of like where the essence of Transformer God resides, and it is given to any Autobot deemed worthy of leading the Cybertronian people. And so it's like a symbol that you have divine right to be leader, which is why Nemesis Prime wants it because he was Prime before Optimus was. Why does he not have the Matrix of Leadership with him already? Because he was Prime before Optimus. That's because Simon Furman was forced to include it at the last seconds, and it hadn't been his plan. We can get into that when we talk about All Hail Megatron a different time, but that was one of the things Furman was forced to change at the last second. Was Optimus was not going to have the Matrix of Leadership in this universe because it would have disappeared with Nova Prime, but he had to change that at the last second because of basically IDW made him. So that's why Optimus has the Matrix of Leadership, even though Nova Prime should already have it. But Nova Prime is coming to assassinate him and take it. And basically Optimus in basically in an ideal world for Nemesis Prime, Optimus would just be screwed because Nemesis Prime and anyone from the dead universe has the ability to just automatically kill someone by touching them because they're from the dead universe. Their bodies are like basically death incarnate. So if they even touch something living, they can just automatically kill it, like and
Mm-hmm.
disintegrate it. And so Optimus has no way of fighting Nemesis Prime. But unfortunately for Nemesis Prime, because the dead
Optimus
universe
has the
is
Matrix of Leadership.
well, he has the Matrix of Leadership, but beyond that, because the dead universe is like the dead inverse of our universe. The dead universe has its own equivalent of the Matrix of Leadership, which is called the Darkness. Which, again, remember, Nemesis Prime was supposed to have the Matrix of Leadership originally before Furman was forced to change it. So this all would have been the Matrix of Leadership in the original version of Simon Furman's story. But the Darkness, which is the Dead Universe's version of the Matrix of Leadership, basically functions the same way mechanically that the Matrix does, which is whenever a new prime is selected and deemed worthy, the darkness, much just like the Matrix of Leadership, wants to be like it needs to be passed on to that new prime. And so the darkness actually, as Nemesis Prime gets into proximity with Optimus, the darkness just abandons Nemesis Prime and forcefully takes over Optimus's body because he's the hot new Prime, which basically causes Nemesis Prime losing all of his power in the living universe all at once causes him to just die, like he can't survive, and so he just like
Yeah.
crumbles. He basically just crumbles to dust, and Optimus is in trouble because Optimus is sitting there like the darkness is the dark inverse of the Matrix. So the Matrix is like light and life and goodness, and the darkness is death and cold and despair. And Optimus can feel it corrupting him, but he's in luck because Galvatron, Nemesis Prime's second in command, shows up. He's like, "Hey, I never really liked Nemesis Prime. Give me and I see that you don't want the darkness, so give me the darkness, and I can, and I can take over, I, and I, and you won't have to have this anymore. And I can promise you, and totally keep my promise. I'm definitely not lying. That I will go back to the dead universe once I've taken the darkness." And so Optimus doesn't believe him, but Optimus is also smart. He gives the darkness to Galvatron, and then immediately throws Galvatron into like into like a vat of acid and kills him.
Yes.
Which again, this is all very rushed.
Yes. But the thing is this. I think so. Then we then move from that into Maximum Dinobots, and that ends.
Wait,
Uh,
no, this is for you, Luke. I know you'll appreciate this. RC managed to before the Negacores were destroyed and like broke the connection between our universe and the dead universe. RC and
yes.
Hardhead managed to invade the dead universe, so RC's trapped there, but she's fine with that because it's impossible to die in the dead universe as long as you're there. And so the end of RC's story in Furman's run is she has found Geaxis in the dead universe, and because neither of
And
them can
again and
die,
again and again and again and again and
yeah,
again and again and again.
yeah, she's just going to spend the rest of eternity killing Geaxis over and over again because that's how much she hates him.
And
And
I feel like
because
that was a great end for her.
yeah.
Like she gets to do the one thing she wanted to do.
And also I just said Optimus kills Galvatron by throwing him in a vat of acid, but this ends on the cliffhanger showing Galvatron's hand emerging from the acid because he's still alive. That was Furman setting up for what he already knew the writers after replacing him were going to be doing with the character.
So we go to Maximum Dinobots. Maximum Dinobots pushes through very quickly. I want to push through this really quickly because it's after 1 o'clock here.
Yeah, sorry
Um,
this went so long.
no, you're good. But so Maximum Dinobots, it goes about, and it's essentially about Grimlock working through trying to figure out how he can get back to having the boys be the boys, but there's still dealing with this whole situation with these mind control deals, and essentially Grimlock gets in a massive bunch of fights with them, and eventually what happens is Grimlock kind of comes to his senses, and he's like, I really did screw you guys over. I really did mess up. I'm super sorry for this, and I just need you guys to like really understand like how wrong I was. And in the process of doing this, they're having to deal with all the various things that are happening with Skywatch, and eventually, what happens is, if I remember correctly, isn't it Grimlock that just calls in um, three little dear friends?
Let
And it's the
me.
monster bots.
Yes, Grimlock. Because for most of the Maximum Dinobot series, Grimlock's on his own. Like the Dinobots are being controlled by Machination and sent by Scorponok to kill him. And then after Grimlock does manage to free them, after some glorious fight scenes between Mega Grimlock and the other Dinobots, he does manage to free them. But then they immediately tell him, "Yeah, so we know that you nuked us from orbit.
You
So we don't,
dirtbag.
yeah, so we don't want to play with you anymore, and we're just gonna leave." And so Grimlock has to call in another Autobot team called the Monster Bots for backups because he still needs to take down Machination and Skywatch.
Which of this group, there is so all me and Favor both have like some of our favorite characters or some of our favorite um, minor characters from Transformers. Now, some of those characters are super minor that only like a couple people know about them, and only true Transformers fans will know of them.
Yeah, like the Monster Bots, like Luke, you knowing who the Monster Bots are now means that the number of people who know about the Monster Bots has doubled.
Exactly, essentially. But the monster bots are essentially just a very small group, not very known to many people. And the fact is that the there's always like a minor character. So who's your minor character you said that you really like? Trailbreaker?
Trailbreaker's one of them. I like Trailbreaker a lot, even though outside of More Than Meets the Eye, he's not ever done anything. I like Holler as well, but
Holler is the one.
there are
So
so many
Holler
minor
is like one of the
characters.
Holler is one of the major ones that you like. For me, one of my major ones that is a very minor character is Double Cross. And Double Cross, super minor character, not a lot of people know about these Transformers, but they're not very big. Their whole thing is they're like kind of small, but they do a lot of damage. And Double Cross has very few lines, but what Double Cross does is he left a lasting moment for me here in Maximum Dinobots, and I just forever and just like Double Cross is dope because
Mm.
he's also a dragon, and I like
Two-headed
dragons.
dragon.
Uh, yeah, I like dragons and dinosaurs. But so Repugnus, like I'm not the biggest fan of Repugnus. Grotesque is pretty cool, but Double Cross, dude, Double
Excuse you, do you say
Cross
grotesque? It's grotesque.
or Grotesque. My bad.
I,
Grotesque, not grotesque.
I like the names that are puns, like grotesque, because he's
Repugnant.
grotesque and he has tusks.
Mm-hmm. Repugnus.
That's not a great pun. I'm not a fan of that.
No, no, no. Repugnant.
No, I know, but like it's just repugnant, but spelled differently. Like it's not as clever as grotesque, being grotesque and like grotesque
With
combined with the
tusks.
word tusk.
They're essentially like puns, but they're just not great puns. But yes. So then eventually, as
Best
the
one,
other
bar
dinos are
none,
gone,
bar none. Best Decepticon name ever. Horrible. He transforms
horrible.
into a bull, and his name is Horrible. I love it.
I mean, it works. So
And Tentakill. He's got tentacles and he kills. Dude,
okay.
there was dude
So
those there was a time like Horrible and Tentacler both released in 1988. Something was in the water. The names for the characters in 1988 specifically were unbeaten, undefeated.
yeah, makes sense. So to finish up Maximum Dinobots really quickly. So not Optimus. Grimlock calls in the monster bots, and the monster bots basically do what they gotta do. They get the job kind of done to help him
And
out.
and while this is all happening, Sunstreaker and Hunter have re-infiltrated Scorponok's headquarters at Machination at the same time, actually, that Hot Rod is also returned to Earth to because basically I think the idea was Hot Rod promised Hot Rod
Sunstreaker.
base yeah, he promised that he would come back to help to save Sunstreaker after he finished the Magnificent storyline. So he's back, and so Hot Rod and Sunstreaker are both like Hot Rod and Sunstreaker are both trying to take down the Machination at the same time that Grimlock and the Monster Boss and the Dinobots are kind of just flailing around and having seizures in the middle of a city because they don't really have a plan yet. It's like
Yep.
Hot Rod and Sunstreaker are trying to take the place down, and Grimlock's trying to like calm down the rave that he started. But
Hey guys, chill. Hey, please, no,
yeah,
guys, no.
but so he gets everything under control. They take down all of the Sunstreaker Headmaster clones with the monster bots, and then the Dinobots sort of return, and they're like, "Hey, Grimlock, we cooled off, and you suck, and we hate you, but you're still a Dinobot, and like Dinobots stick together.
Bros be bros.
Yeah, bros be bros. We hate you, but you're the bro. You're our bro. So
Dude, you're our bro, but f you, dude. But you're
yeah,
the bro.
and so then the monster bots and the Dinobots together go to the Machination headquarters to take down Scorponok, and they show up there to find that Hot Rod and Sunstreaker have both basically just been completely dismembered. Like they're both on death's door. Like let me find a picture of it.
And then the
Because
Dinobots, they're like, well, oops.
because Scorponok is like the size of Optimus Prime, and Sunstreaker is like the size, and Sunstreaker and Hot Rod are both like Bumblebee sized. So like they had no
Scroll down a little
chance.
further. There's an image on the right, just to show the size comparison there with Optimus.
Oh, with
Oh yeah,
Optimus.
this here.
Yes,
And one more. There you go.
this is Hot Rod relative to Optimus, and Scorponok's probably a little bit bigger. Scorponok's generally bigger than Optimus, so like yeah, it's like Sunstreaker is the same size as Hot Rod, so it's like two normal sized Transformers versus like an
A
absolute
big
unit.
boy.
Yeah. So they show up, and this is how this is how Hot Rod's doing.
Isn't it great to be so into man?
Yeah.
And then there is one of the Dinobots.
Yeah, and
This one's swooped.
that's Swoop and that's Slag. But
Yes.
but so like that's Hot Rod, and remember like Sunstreaker because he's the headmaster. Sunstreaker's original head because like because Hunter transforms into a copy of Sunstreaker's head. He's the original Sunstreaker's head is still kept in Machination. So
Yes.
like so like so where this is how Sunstreaker's doing, and the Sunstreaker body that
It's
Hunter
good.
was yeah, the Sunstreaker body that Hunter was piloting has already been destroyed by Scorponok. So Sunstreaker's out. He's a disembodied head right now, and Hunter has no Sunstreaker body to pilot. And this is how Hot Rod is when the Dinobots show up to bail them out.
And the Dinobots literally they show up and they go, "Okay, you guys good?" No, no, we're not doing good. I just sit back and just and then they just end Machination and Skywatch so quickly.
Yeah, and so they take down Machination and Skywatch. Shockwave was also in here because at this point Shockwave has been reactivated by Skywatch as well.
Yes.
Um, I don't remember what Shockwave's role was in this though. No, I remember part of his role was Shockwave helped Soundwave free himself from the
The
mode
two of them
lock.
just basically left, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, while all of this is
They
going
didn't
on,
really stay around to help the guys. They were just like, "Oh, we're gonna team back up and we're gonna go back and find Megatron."
yeah, like Skywatch has reactivated Shockwave under the belief that he can help them take the Dinobots down. And
And he's like,
Shockwave,
"Screw you guys."
yeah, Shockwave just double crosses them. He remote controlled helps Soundwave get free of his mode lock so he can transform to robot mode again. And then as payment, Soundwave comes and frees Shockwave, and then they both leave because they're like, we got to get back to Megatron.
Because we've been here for too dang long.
Yeah. And so,
And so
yeah, Soundwave and
basically
Shockwave
from this
leave.
point forward, like the story just basically ended in like a high note, and you just got the Dinobots just going rampaging everywhere, and then it
Yeah.
grows again, and it's fine.
Yeah, the Dinobots just
And,
wreck
and Hunter
house.
lives happily ever after.
Yes. So
And so
the way it ends is they take down Scorponok and Machination and Skywatch. So they take them all down, and then Ultra Magnus shows up because Ultra Magnus has gotten word all of this, and this may surprise people listening to this, but Grimlock is a war criminal. He's already got charges unrelated to everything that's happened in IDW so far. Grimlock's just a
you
war
remember
criminal.
that
But so Ultra
Geneva has
Magnus
had many conventions about the Dinobots.
yes. So Grimlock, Ultra Magnus shows up to arrest all of the Dinobots because they're all war criminals. And Grimlock strikes a deal with Ultra Magnus to say, I will go quietly. I will allow you, like, basically, he's like, you know that you can't arrest all five of us. You know that. So I'm going to strike a deal with you and say, I will come with you willingly if you wipe the other Dinobot slates clean. Ultra Magnus agrees and he arrests Grimlock. I think the Monster Bots peace out because they're also war criminals, so they get out of there before Ultra Magnus
Dude, the
shows up.
monster bots were gone by the time that Ultra Magnus showed up because they're like, bro.
Yeah, they pieced out because they're even bigger war criminals than the Dinobots. And so
They're like the
Grimlock,
Weasley ones. Like they show up somewhere, wreak havoc, and leave. Like they
yeah,
don't like sit down and wait or anything like that. No, they have to continually move because they're a hot spot.
yeah. And so Grimlock allows himself to go into custody to secure the other Dinobots' freedom. The rest of the Dinobots go out to have adventures among the stars, committing more war crimes, more than likely. And the the mini series and Furman's whole run on IDW ends with the reveal that Sunstreaker's head has been reattached to his body, and Hunter Onion has, with the help of Ratchet, been surgically re-engineered so that he's no longer a headmaster, and he can go back to
And
living a
and
normal
the
life.
Dinobots are bros again, and they forgive Grimlock for what he did.
Yes, they have forgiven Grimlock. Um, And so, like you said, yes, Hunter gets a happily ever after. Not the endings Furman wanted for him. Furman has made it no secret that he wanted Hunter and Sunstreaker to stay headmaster partners, and he had lots of plans for Hunter. Let me see. Hail and farewell. I sent this to you. Simon Furman wrote this for free. It's not canon, but this is basically a one-page comic he wrote about what would have been with Hunter and Sunstreaker if he had
In
gotten
a
his way.
distant future. Yeah.
Yeah, it says since becoming a headmaster, it says since then I've been to other planets, which never happens in Furman's run, another dimension, which never happened. I've gone one on one with Scorponok, which technically did happen in Maximum Dinobots and lived to tell the tale. Allied myself with the Dinobots and even faced down a full scale Decepticon invasion, which did not happen. So his plans for him to fight Scorponok and ally with the Dinobots did happen, but going to other planets, dimensions, and Decepticon invasions never happened. Most people presume who have read this that the other dimension would have been the dead universe, that Hunter and Sunstreaker would have been involved in the dead universe in some way. Um,
So
not clear what Furman's plan for a Decepticon invasion was, because that's currently happening as you're reading in All Hail Megatron, but Furman didn't write that, and it's nothing like anything Furman would have written.
I feel like I could finally connect this to the points I eventually wanted to touch on. And I'll just touch on these kind of briefly, but that being continually, again, we're talking about just write the story. Just write it. And you mentioned earlier, you got a laptop and time and a Word document, start typing. You can create a story. Then you submit it to your friend and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Seems like a good story. I mean, it's kind of weird in the middle or whatever. Yeah, and that's fine. And I feel like that's when it comes to like, you can see good writing for what it is, as long as you just like come at it and just be like, oh, this seems good. This seems bad. Oh, I didn't like that. I liked that. Like how Favor is a huge fan of Sunstreaker, I'm a huge fan of Double Cross. I mean, Double Cross does not have like none of the monster bots. What is it? Is it less than 8 pages that the monster bots are even in? Like maximum dinos, but still at the same time, what they do left such a lasting impression on me. And I think that's the point of these different things that we write and different things that we talk about when it comes to all this, because step out there and write a story, step out there and just create content for people to watch, people to see, because you never know who is going to read your story and how it's going to impact their lives. It could impact them for just being just like a little piece of entertainment for you. It could be like the next greatest hit, like we could see with um, Matt Denneman. It took him. It took. I don't remember exactly when he wrote the first book. Matt Denneman, for those who do not know, is an author. He wrote the series called Dungeon Crawler Carl. Okay. Now, the main reason why I bring this up is I was in a bookstore in the U.S. Over Christmas break and into January, and Barnes and Noble is the store I was in. Has said that their book of the year was Dungeon Crawler Carl. Okay, their book of the year. Now, when I hear book of the year, I'm thinking, oh, that book was released this year. No, Dungeon Crawler Carl was released in 2020. So the guy had to wait 5 years for the book to really get any sort of notoriety, to really, really get movement on it, and to be able to have people want to read his content. And that's okay. Sometimes it takes a little time for people to want to read your stuff, and that's fine. I mean, personally, me, like, I like, personally, one of my favorite podcasts right now is called Creepcast. It's one of the higher rated podcasts on many different platforms right now, and it's just Meat Canyon and Wendigoon sitting there reading stories that people wrote that are typically of a horror or creepy nature. And you never know like what you're going to come across with writing a story and posting it on the internet. And the worst thing that can happen is someone criticizes your work and doesn't like it. Or if your content is very, very problematic, you could be banned from particular websites. Just as long as your content is not like offensive, slanderous, or anything of that nature, um, usually your content can be fine. So just get out there and write it. And a prime example of what I'm talking about is this. There was a particular story that was told on this podcast, and it was a dude. His name's Jack Townsend. He posted a blog, little story that he wrote on a subreddit, and that subreddit like really latched onto his story, which then got bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually this single story that he was just telling on this subreddit turned into him having a 4 volume book set that he's been able to publish about this little story he created online. It's called Tales from the Gas Station, which it's a like a horror comedy thing, and it doesn't really reinvent the book, or like reinvent the wheel, but it just kind of like changes things a little bit to the nature that it just shows you something that hasn't necessarily been created before, but at the same time you can kind of predict what's going to happen, and it's pretty funny because it's a horror comedy story, and so it's just basically the story of these different events that are occurring at this gas station outside of or at the edge of a small town. That's literally all it is. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing like wild. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Write a story. People will like it. And I mean, that's what I feel is so important when it comes to like producing content for yourselves or producing content for like people. Like Favor, I know here is like currently in the process of getting a book published. Completely fine with that. It's really cool, and I can't wait to read his book. Um, like Favor, which your book is a dark Western fantasy.
Yeah, yes, I wrote a book, as Luke said, which is dark fantasy, sort of dark fantasy western. The title of it is going to be Blood and Lead. I'm releasing it through a startup publishing company called Lion Publishing, which is going to be doing crowdfunding it in October. So I'm definitely going to be promoting that through the channel when that
But
happens.
but that's my thing. It's just like to be honest, like you just were like, I'm gonna write a story. And didn't you get told by somebody like you should really finish that story?
I wasn't told that I needed to finish it because I never abandoned it. I was always planning to. But yes, a very close friend of mine was the one who basically was telling me over and over again that I needed to actually, if nothing else, self-publish it. I need to do something with it. And then he read it for me and was like even stronger. Like you'd be an idiot for not doing something with this because he really
Yeah, and
liked it.
I think that's the thing. It's just like there's so many people who just like sit on stories. Just sit out, like get out there and write it. And personally, for me, I can tell you this: I wish I could write. I don't have the capability. I don't have the chops to do it. I just can't. I can't sit down and just sit and type something out.
Did
But
you wait, hold on. You said you can't write. See, dude, you should go talk to Disney. You're perfect for them.
yeah, I know. It's amazing, right? But what I have the capability of doing is taking something that someone else has already created and tweaking it enough. So I may not be the writer, but I'm the person that the friend can come to and be like, hey, what do you think about this? It just takes two people. It takes a writer and it takes a friend. And like I could be perfect for the friend situation, but I can't be perfect for the writer situation.
Mm.
Um, because I just don't have that creative to me as much as I used to. Like I pull from so many other people's ideas and I just kind of like throw them into my own thing. And I have to be presented with something in order to make the idea work more in my head. And
Yeah.
so if I don't have the other if I don't have the other ideas, I can't formulate something. I usually need some form of inspiration from somewhere else. And so that's what I feel is like so important for us to really mention. Is like you don't have to be a brilliant writer; you just need to be a writer. So get out there, write a story, and like you look at what Furman did. Like Furman, he took what he had, and obviously at a certain point they were kind of like they screwed him over, but at the same time, he took a continuity that was already existent and he's like, you know what? I like this. I don't like this. I'm going to use this. I don't want to use this. Like Headmasters was a very kind of like iffy thing
Yeah,
from
it is
what
a
I understand
it.
back in the day. And
Yeah,
now you look
as
at it
someone
and
who's
it's
a
like Furman. What?
I was saying, as someone who like knows the original '80s lore and is a fan of the concept generally, it was stupid in the '80s. It's a stupid concept unless you do it perfectly. And Furman did it perfectly in IDW, and it's basically not been done right ever anywhere else.
And that's an important point. Like end it. Just go for it. If your idea doesn't work, someone will tell you. Someone will tell you really quickly usually. And I think that's like just a cool point. Like, so you've got these guys, this guy who wrote this story about Tales from the Gas Station. He was like, I want to write this horror comedy thing, post it online, see what happens. He sent it, and it turned into a 4 book series in which I actually just bought 2 of the books for my brother for Christmas. It's it's so simple. Just do it. Do the thing and post it and see what happens. And so, like, obviously, make sure it's good. Like, show your friend, like, hey, what do you think about this? And I say, show your friend, hey, what do you think about this? Because if you don't say, hey, how is the story? And you think you're like absolute content gold, you can get something like, um, well, here, you need to make sure when you ask somebody, hey, what do you think about this, that they'll be honest with you. Because you can get someone who will become your editor and they think everything that you write is golden, even though it's more like a couple pieces of bronze at best. And then you get Brandon Sanderson's entire catalog. Um, or you get that person who's like praising you for everything you wrote, and then congratulations. Now you have a quote unquote successful writing career, and now I'm gonna write for Star Wars, and oh no, I'm the biggest joke in the entire world because I ruined Star Wars. So make sure you have a good friend that'll tell you when you're being stupid. Okay, I think I'm good now.
Yeah, no, that's all good stuff.
Yeah. So, well, I probably need to think about going to bed because it's almost 2 a.m. here.
Yeah, I that was episode that was 2 episodes of Wild Opinions. That was like episode 1.5 and episode 2. We are finding our groove with this. definitely, because we went for 5 hours. Like this is we're only going to get better. We're only going to get better at talking about the stuff we love from here,
I
and we're
mean,
only going
it's eventually going to turn to 12-hour streams, but whatever.
to. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm
But
trying to avoid that because that's not algorithm friendly. But what are you going to do? But also, I just want to make sure I don't make these too gargantuan to scare people away from clicking on them. I could probably make podcast stream highlights as well. Cut those out. Um,
yeah, dude.
but yeah, we've hit a lot today. We probably won't do IDW Transformers again next time because we'll need to get a fair bit more into the way before we
Yeah, I
talk
think
about that.
next time we're going to attack something completely different.
All right, this has been episode 1.5 and episode 2. And possibly, I think what I'm
The
going to do to make
extended
these,
cut.
it's the extended. I think what I'm also going to do to try to make these small, like shorter, so they're not as like daunting for someone to click on, is I'm probably going to like the discussion we just did about the Odyssey and Harry Potter. I might clip that out too of the final stream and release that as like deleted like wild opinions deleted scene or something like that.
Yeah.
So like we can have little mini parts as well. So like 1.5 will be us reacting to the Sam Witwer videos, and then episode 2 will be the discussion of IDW, and then there will be like wild opinions deleted scenes talking about the Odyssey and Harry Potter.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that is what we've done today. We will figure out what we want to do next time. But for now, I've been Favorable Opinions, and this is my co-host, Wild Comanche. Uh, Wild, do you have anything you want to say to close us out?
Um, Go write a story. Have fun with it.
Yes. Remember what
Change
I
the
said.
stakes. See what
If you
happens.
remember what I said, if you have word, you can write a better story than the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
Yeah. Be better than J.J. Abrams. You know you can be.
All
All
right,
right.
and with that, we bid you all goodbye.